What's up, YouTube? This is Beer God Cody here, bringing you a deck profile for Salmangreats. By far one of my favorite decks to use. I love using the Link monsters. I love their reincarnation abilities to be able to use a secondary effect if they're special summoner using themselves as Link's materials. By far a great deck if it's built pretty decently. Um, Getting the structure decks is a good start, and then start getting like the support cards will really help boost it up to getting you what you need. If you like this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe. Always love that. And then yeah, so let's jump right into it. Move the extra deck off to the side real quick. So I'm gonna start with 3 Salmangreat Spinnies. I run 3 of him just because he has 2 great effects. Basically, he can give a monster on the field 500 extra attack points, and then bring himself back from the graveyard. But he leaves, or he's banished when he leaves the field again. So it's a pro and con to him, but he's really good to have because it helps you get your links out quicker, and he's just a great defense just in case. So that's why I run 3 of him. Next, I run 3 Salmangreat Jaguars. With 3 Salmangreat Jaguars, I mean, 9 times out of 10, you're not usually attacking with your monsters on the field, unless it's like your links. But his ability, he can, when he attacks defense, he inflicts piercing damage. So he's always good to have as a backup attack with 1800 attack. But he can also bring your extra monsters back to the extra deck to bring himself back out to a link marker. So he's always good to have. That's why I run 3, because having 3 of them really helps boost up your ability to get your link monsters out. Next, I have 2 Beat Bisons. Really, I run 2 of him just because he's nice to be able to bring himself out if you have 3 Salmangreats in the graveyard. So he's just that quick defense or a quick link marker to boost up. So that's why I bring out 2 of him. Next, I run 2 Salmangreat Falcos. He just has 2 great abilities. If he sends himself or you send him to the graveyard, you can bring a spell, set it to the field, or if you have a monster on the field, you can bounce it back to your hand, bring him out, and that's always good to have a combo with Salmangreat Mirror, which in this deck I run 1, but like I said, it's just good for combos and then bringing out your link monsters. Next, I run Salmangreat Coyote. I run 2 of them. With him, he's just nice because he has 2 different effects that you can choose if you link summon with him as a material. Basically, you can special summon a monster in defense mode, that's Salmangreat, or you can bring a Salmangreat card back from your graveyard. So if you have any spell and trap cards that you need back, he's a good use for your links. Next, I'm going to kind of just build this out with Salmangreat Foxy, Salmangreat Foxer, Salmangreat Finnick, Salmangreat Fowl, Salmangreat Raccoon, Salmangreat Emerald Eel. I run 1 of them. I know he has a second ability where he can kind of help boost himself out with ritual summoning him, using him as the whole ritual effect. But it's hard to get him out sometimes when I'm running it, so I only run 1 just if I get lucky to have the ritual card in my hand at the same time. So 1 Salmangreat Wolfie, 1 Salmangreat Mole, 1 Salmangreat Pyro, and 1 Salmangreat Mirror. Like I said, I only run 1 of him. Some people run 2, or even some people run 3. But his effect is nice just because if you bring him out from the deck without drawing him, or bring him from the graveyard, or bring him from the field back to your hand, you can just special summon him back. So he's good to have for different link purposes, or just a quick monster to get back out. But I only run 1 of these. I would go through and talk about each one of their effects, but I don't want to waste too much time because really all they do is to just really help get your Salamangreats back out and then get your link monsters going, or get your magic and trap cards back, and they're really good to have. So that's why I only run 1 of certain ones. Next, I run 2 Salmangreat Sanctuaries. This is your key point to getting your reincarnation Salmangreat link monsters. don't have this, you can't really do the reincarnations. I run 2 just because if one gets destroyed, I can just bounce it back to my hand with all my monsters effects. And then with your Link Monster Billinax, you can bring it to your hand if once he or she's Link Summon. So, like I said, this is one of your key spell cards. I recommend running 2, even 3 if you want to, but that's always a good thing to have. Then, yeah. So, this is going to be a long one. I'm sorry, guys, but I kind of run 1 of everything to be safe. So, I'll run 1 Will of Salmangreat, 1 Rising Fire, 1 Salmangreat Recurrence, 1 Salmangreat Claw, 1 Salmangreat Circle, 1 Salmangreat Burning Shell, 1 Salmangreat Transcendence, 1 Rise of the Salmangreat. If you have Salmangreat Emerald Eagle, you need to have the Rise of the Salmangreat since it's a ritual spell card for it. 1 Fury of Fire, 1 Polymerization, 1 Fusion Fire, and 1 Sidnet Fusion. I run the fusion cards just because I do have 2 Violet Chimeras, which I'll get into later. But I try to have these in my hand because if I have at least all the 3 different quantities of it, then I can kind of get them out faster without worrying about trying to get to polymerization or just fusion of fire or whatever the case may be. Will of Salmangreat's a good one to have. Sometimes even I've seen people run 2 of them or 3 of them just because of its special ability to basically, bring a monster back from the graveyard, especially summon main phase or your hand, and then it just has a really good effect. And then everything else is just kind of bouncing off itself. Salamander Circle is limited to 1 in a deck by tournament rules, and it's just nice to have because you can add 1 Salamander monster from your deck, which will help your combos. And then you can also use a second effect where Salamander Link monsters you control by using itself as materials cannot be affected by monster effects that turn except its own. So, like I said, my spell cards, they kind of differentiate once in a while just because depending on how I want to run the deck, I'll switch it out for saying I want to run 2 Rise of Salamangers with 2 Emerald Eagles, or I'll put in 2 Will of Salamangers. I kind of switch out my extra deck or my spell cards with my side deck just to kind of depends on how I want to run at that time. We'll get into the traps. So, one of my favorite Salmangreat traps are Salmangreat Roar, and I run 3 of these. Basically, if a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated while you control a Salmangreat Link monster, you can negate the activation and destroy the card, which is always nice, especially when you have different Link monsters that do different effects. And then the nice thing about this is that if it's in the graveyard and a Link monster is linked someone to your field using itself as material, you can set it back, but you have to banish the card when it leaves. So that's why I run 3, because you basically can use this card up to like 6 times if that's the case. So that's why I run 3 of them. I've seen it work flawlessly against other decks. So that's why I run 3. Next I run 2 Salmangreat Gifts and 2 Salmangreat Rages. With those, Salmangreat Gifts is nice because you can send a Salmangreat monster from the deck to the graveyard and then draw 1 card. And then you can use the second effect. I don't care to use it as much just because you kind of given to get 2 more monsters or 2 more cards from your deck, and that's why I only prefer to use the 1 because you can get your combos going a lot smoother. And then Rage has 2 effects that you can choose to activate if you have the right cards on the field, and that's why I have 2, just because I didn't want to overdo it, and then I kind of wanted to keep it so that way I had a backup just in case if it got destroyed by like a MTS or something like that. So that will end the main deck for Salmangreat, at least how I built it. Like I said, you can always build it a different way, how you choose. And then I'm going to get into the extra deck. So I run 2 Pyro Phoenixes. Honestly, I'd run 3. I just didn't pull 3 at the time. But basically, his effect's nice because if he's Link Summon, you can bring back a Link monster from your opponent's graveyard and special summon to your opponent's field. And then if the link monster is special summoned to your opponent's field, you can target one of the monsters and inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack. So he's always nice to basically like kind of bring something back for somebody and then just hit their life points with their attack points. But if you reincarnate him using, Salmangreat Sanctuary, when he comes back using himself as material, he destroys your opponent's whole field. So it's so nice to have him in the deck. And getting Link 4s out are so easy nowadays, especially with the Master Rules. I mean, it's flawless. Like, I love using Pyro Phoenix. Next, I run, obviously, 3 Salmangreat Heat Leos. Just because when he's Link Summon, you can target your opponent's spell, send it back to the deck, shuffle it. And if he uses himself as Link material, you can target one face-up monster on the field and one monster in your graveyard, and that attack becomes the targeted monster's attack points. So if you have a monster that has less than Heat Leo's attack, it would work easier to get over some of your other opponent's monsters. So that's why I run 3 of him, just because of the reincarnation effect, and just having a Link 3 with 2300 attack is always very nice to have. Next I run 3 Billonix. With having 3 of her, you can basically bring Salmangreat Sanctuary to your hand, and then with her secondary effect, if she's in the graveyard, if any of your Salmangreat monsters are being targeted by like an effect or destroyed by battle, you can banish her to the graveyard or banish her completely, and then after that they can't be destroyed that turn by any effects. So that's always nice to have. That's why I run 3 of her now. Obviously I run 2 Salmangreat Violet Chimeras. With having 2 of him, his first effect's nice because the monster whose current attack is different from its original attack, you can double his attack, and then if you use him as fusion material, then basically when he's attacking the monster, the attack becomes 0, and then it's just a killer effect. So that's why I run 2 of him. That's why I run so many of those fusion cards to bring him out. It's because he's a nice powerhouse. Next, I run 2 Salmangreat Sunlight Wolf. With him, if a monster gets special summoned to his Link marker, you can bring a spell and trap card back to your hand, and then if you reincarnate reincarnate Link summon him, you can bring a spell and trap card back from your graveyard. So he's just a nice powerhouse to get your Link 2 out, and then he can use himself as 2 materials to help get your Link 3, Link 4. So always good to have an extra Sunlight Wolf. You can even run 3 if you want, but I always run 2 just because it's easier. Then I run 1 Salmangreat Almirage and 1 Prog Leo. Prog Leo I just kind of threw in there just because there's an extra Link 2 to get out. And then Salmangreat Almirage was nice to have, because then if you tribute him, you can target one monster you control and it can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And then if a normal monster that you control got destroyed, you can special summon this card back from the graveyard. So, like I said, that's why I always mess with my extra deck just to be safe. But that would be the end of the Salmangreat deck. Like I said, one of my favorite all-time decks to use. I've been messing with it for a couple years now, just to deal with the supports that come out and all the other fun jazz. But like I said, I will continue to put on deck profiles, do Pokemon box openings, and do Yu-Gi-Oh openings. But like I said, please hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment below how I can better my deck profile so it's quick and faster for you guys, or you want more information, let me know. And please stay healthy out there during these times. I know with the quarantine and everything, everyone's just kind of doing what they can. So like I said, appreciate you guys watching, and Beer Gut Cutter out.